New episodes of the I Know You Didn't Ask podcast are out every Monday and Friday, available wherever you listen to podcasts and on YouTube. Welcome to I Know You Didn't Ask, everybody. I'm your host, Megan O'Donnell, and I don't know if you haven't heard yet, but my Anna Delvey Part 1 deep dive came out last Friday, and I'm sorry, but I'm going to win a Peabody, whether it's in 2026, 2027, but my reporting and ability to produce a stunning two-part deep dive is just like very impressive. I know people shouldn't brag about themselves, but it feels like these days there's so few things I can brag about. So I'm really just enjoying just my work. I'm just absolutely loving it. It was a 21-page outline, so it shows that I did the work, I've done the research, and just go check it out. Part 2 will be out this Friday, so be sure to check out that as well. Of course, you guys, I am on YouTube at I Know You Didn't Ask Pod. You can find the link to this here episode in the show notes. I blow dried my hair. I have a shirt that I probably should have ironed, but we're still new to this. I don't have a full team, I don't have a stylist behind, these looks. So bear with me here. But okay, everybody, we know it was Halloween. We will be getting into some Halloween costumes, of course, later in this episode. But I just want to say, what happened to Thanksgiving? The Thanksgiving erasure in our society is becoming an epidemic. And I am sad about it because as a society that's completely capitalistic and just American culture is just selfish and materialistic, you'd think we would, stop and take a moment to be thankful for things we have. But instead we are not. We are just forcing our poor partners to, go into the storage unit and take out the garland, the tinsel, the flocked trees, the flocked fake trees are so ugly. I'm sorry. And I know there are thousands of people out there, and I'm guessing a percentage do have flocked trees, but it's just not the look. Nobody thought it was snowing in the living room. Like, it's just fake. And there's a big contentious argument in my home about fake tree versus real tree. I'm team real tree. Mac grew up with a fake tree. We did have a fake tree in our small apartment in Astoria, but I mean, that was a small apartment in Astoria. You're not going to get, a real pine in there. I'm not getting a balsam fir in my one-bedroom apartment in Queens. But, we live in Jersey now, so I'm getting a real motherfucking tree, even if it's costing upwards of $150. I'm sorry. That, to me, I think is, worth every penny. I will say the tree we got last year didn't have an ounce of beautiful aroma emanating off of it. Not once did I say, it smells like a Christmas tree farm in here. Not once. Not a single time. But let's just say it's been very spooky these few weeks here in New Jersey, New York, with big election this week. So if you are interested, go and vote. I'm not going to tell you what to do, but I will say, I like to make fun of everybody on this here show. Republicans, Democrats, obviously I lean left, but you know what? I believe in equal opportunity shit talking. But I just have to quickly say the possible mayor of New York City, I mean, I cannot imagine he wins, Andrew Cuomo, was spotted this past weekend with Jonathan Cheban. Jonathan Cheban, I don't know how to say his last name, but he is also known as the FoodGod. I do believe he legally changed that. And there was just a photo of Andrew Cuomo and FoodGod looking like two little cuties in their intimate little booth, red red velvet booth, and they're just sharing a bone-in ribeye for two with a side of fries. And I just want to say, I understand you try to get people like in media to support you, but Andrew Cuomo, people already aren't wanting to vote you in again. But now you're being associated with the FoodGod. I mean, that couldn't have been scarier for my Halloween weekend. It was to wake up and see that photo everywhere. And thank God the people I follow also understand how deeply funny and out of touch you have to be to think, you know what? FoodGod is hopefully going to be able to leverage some of his followers into voting for me, Andrew Cuomo. And I don't even think the FoodGod lives in New York. So I don't know what the fuck that entire situation was, but I just found it absolutely so funny. But I live in a beautiful area in New Jersey, Montclair, Glenridge. It's just fabulous. And people are going hard. it's just a beautiful area, great costumes, great vibes. I saw a fight between a crossing guard and this young man, probably in his 20s. And so that was, exciting. You leave the city and you want to see some fights, you want to see some choice name calling. And so I did get a little bit of that. She did get promptly moved to another corner. The corner she was on was a little too busy, a little too crazy for her when she did start acting up. And you know what, again, we like to keep drama high here at I Know You Didn't Ask. I did see some choice costumes. We're not really going to go into what I saw in person because, I mean, who cares? But I did see a massive King Kong, which was really shocking, just out there willy-nilly in the street. I actually made a TikTok about my experience. If you want to go to Megan the Podcaster's TikTok to see this one house that literally had like both sides of the lawn, and there was like a walkway going right down in the middle. To the left and to the right had massive, insane displays. There was like a pirate ship, there was a graveyard, there was a prison, there was a science laboratory, there was like skeletons vomiting, a pumpkin patch. It was insane. But I put the videos on Megan the Podcaster's TikTok because I was just bored the other day and I was just looking to make content. When you got a free 25 minutes and you say, let's dig up some of the footage I captured from this week and let's just put it on the internet. But I also saw a dad hoverboarding with his child while trick-or-treating. And I just have to say, the dad had a terrible body language. He was giving divorced dad, and it happened to be his night with his kid. But the dad was on a hoverboard, and his hands were just in his pockets. And his son was like trying to keep up with him because he was walking what people generally do during trick-or-treating. Like, where are you going that you need to like scoot over there on your hoverboard? But it was just really embarrassing, and I just want to say to all parents out there, get the fuck off your lazy asses and just walk with your kid. God forbid you spend 45 minutes with the kid walking up and down some streets. You gotta bring your hoverboard. It's just embarrassing. And then I also had a great interaction with a little girl. She probably was like 4 years old. And we had been taking our dog Margot out with us, who is wearing a new coat. She's got a lilac little jacket with a shearling collar. It's absolutely adorable. And we were walking with her, and this little girl said, like, why is your dog wearing a jacket? And I said, oh, because it's almost wintertime and she's cold. And the little girl said to me, just point blank, what's winter? And I said, what is winter? And I just loved that little moment because it showed me, yeah, you do really have to teach these kids fucking everything. I'm guessing last winter she was too young to like really understand what winter was. So this is new for her. I hope she went home and said, Mom, what's winter? Because this scary lady in a turtleneck and her dog wearing a puffer were talking to me about something called winter. What is this phenomenon? So let's just talk costumes, people. I didn't see any blackface this year. No blackface across the board. Of course, it's never too late. But you know what? That's always a good start for the holiday season when a big celebrity doesn't have a massive blackface scandal. I will say there was a boy in my high school who not only went blackface, he went black body. He painted his arms black, his face black. I don't even know what he was being. I'm gonna guess a black person, but I don't even recall. And I just remember like seeing that as a teen being like, I feel like this is wrong. Like, I feel like this school needs to send him home. But it's Long Island public schools. They're not sending you home. They're saying, hilarious. Now get back to biology. I was going to say AP bio, but let's be real. This fucking idiot was not AP bio. But one issue and one bone to pick I have, not to bring up bones, Halloween bones, get it? One bone I do have to pick is when people have a prop cigarette. This will be my prop cigarette. And they don't know how to hold it. Whether it's a cigarette or a joint, you hold both of them differently, but I feel like it's a lost art form. There are even some actors in like an Academy Award winning film where you see how the actor or actress holds a cigarette and they've actually never smoked one. And so they have like such a lack of ability to like confidently be smoking on screen. And as somebody who used to smoke, it's like you see it and it like kills me on the inside. And I, like that's why Johnny Depp is so hot. Like you see Johnny Depp smoking a cigarette and you're like, that 3-minute cigarette is like lighting him up on the inside. And you could feel the passion behind that cigarette. Passionately and consciously killing yourself with every drag. There's something poetic about it. But that's just one sign of something I just hate seeing. It's just across the board. It's a general note. But I did not dress up this year because I'm, an adult with no children. We didn't get invited anywhere. So, like, what are we going to, like, sit in the house and just dress up with each other. But I would have made Matt dress up as Jeff Bezos, and I would have been Lauren Sanchez Bezos, and we would have been them at the foam party. I definitely would have done some kind of foam party joint couple look because I just thought that was, very timely. We can't talk about Halloween and in Hollywood without talking about Heidi Klum. Just looking like a freaking weird demon, green, scaly Medusa with the fucking snakes coming out of her head. And again, we all know she's the queen of Halloween. Self-proclaimed, though. like, I've never looked at her outfits and thought, oh my god, this is so amazing. I mean, she did have the Jessica Rabbit thing she did a couple years back that could have been conceived as sexy, but even that had the exaggerated proportions, which is actually disgusting when you look at it. It's oh yeah, that's not how the female body's supposed to look. But this year she was Medusa for the 24th annual Heidi Klum Halloween party. There are many parties in Hollywood that I would love to attend, but this one is just not that. But I think I have issues with Halloween, but that's besides the point. Let's talk about some controversial looks. We can't not talk about model actress Julia Fox dressing up as a blood-stained Jackie Kennedy, fresh out of the convertible in Dallas when her husband got gunned down to death. Blood stains on the outfit. There was no blood on the pillbox hat, which, very classy, very kind of her. I know people are, disgusted in this costume choice, which, I don't blame them. Political violence is never something to joke about, and political violence should not be, reflected in a Halloween costume. And to be quite honest with you, I live in America and political violence is our culture. So Julia, do not make our culture your costume. She, of course, comes out with a statement that says, I'm dressed as Jackie Kennedy in the pink suit, not as a costume, but as a statement. When her husband was assassinated, she refused to change out of her blood-stained clothes, saying, I want them to see what they've done. The image of the delicate pink suit splattered with blood is one of the most haunting juxtapositions in modern history. Beauty and horror, poise and devastation. I will say, Julia Fox does have a way of getting me to kind of be on her side. But then, of course, she says, this was performance, protest, and mourning all at once, a woman weaponizing her image and grace to expose brutality. It's about trauma, power, and how femininity is a form of resistance in itself. Long live Jackie O. And we all know Julia Fox is an edgelord. She's always, dyeing eyebrows white, and again, another beautiful woman who's you know what, I've been seen too much and objectified as a beautiful woman my whole life. I'm gonna be crazy. I'm gonna do something edgy and never been seen before. And I understand, yes, the way she describes her choice in dressing up as a blood-stained former former first lady, but there's gotta be other feminist icons, right, that we could channel and embody for Halloween. What happened to just a leather jacket and a shearling a shearling collar and just being Amelia Earhart or Rosie the Riveter, getting a bandana and tying it around your head and flexing. Now we've gone so far in another direction in feminism where it's we need to we need to show this woman who is covered in the blood of her dead husband. That's the statement, the brave statement that we're going to be making this holiday season. I will say she did come out as, instead of Angelina Jolie, she wrote Cancelina Jolie, which is kind of funny. Again, I'm a flip flopper, so I'm funny bit, but also I wasn't crazy about the Jackie Kennedy thing, especially in a world now, in this post Charlie Kirk world that we're living in. People are hyper sensitive to gun violence, and it just seems like bad taste. And again, I'm pretty full of bad taste choices, but I don't know, I thought it was taken a little bit too far. And so Jack Schlossberger, who is a internet guy, he's also the son of Caroline Kennedy, who was the only living child of JFK and Jackie Kennedy. He's got the best lineage, and this guy, he's on the internet being kind of like a Julia Fox, an edgelord, saying crazy things, especially politically. He's always picking on Cheryl Hines for being married to Robert F. Kennedy. And he's I've never even met you, but he always is taking jokes too far. But he had a huge problem with this. He said, not today, Julia Fox. Not my family is not your costume, especially my bloodied family. Yeah, I don't know. It didn't sit right for me. Sorry, Julia. I'm usually on your side, but not this time. I have to say I was obsessed with Demi Lovato's costume. So Demi years ago, back in 2015, a fan posted this weird photo of Demi onto Tumblr, of course, and they said it was her long lost twin named Poot. And little Poot Lovato was locked away in a basement and never came out. And basically, I'll show pictures of Poot on my Instagram, but this is like a deep cut. But Demi actually ended up being Poot for Halloween this year. And I like that. Lean into the jokes about yourself. And we all know I went into a deep Demi hole a couple months ago where I was like watching all her documentaries and like I kind of fell in love with Demi Lovato. And I absolutely love the costume. I thought that was very creative. And yeah, if people are going to be making fun of you online, why not give into it a little bit? And I will say she's come out with some new music. This song called Kiss came out, and I feel like Demi's trying to now go into like the Charlie XCX path. People are very much leaning into Charlie XCX breed of pop music. It's kind of like a little bit more club sounding. It's bold, it's experimental, and she's like unapologetically self-aware and open and honest in her lyrics that are also oftentimes set to the track of like a pop song. So I think Demi's probably trying to go that route as well. But like, I mean, let's all go towards Charlie and not towards Taylor. I mean, come on. We don't have to go there. Let's get into the Phaedra Parks costume of the year, possibly. She dressed up as Don Corleone, the mafia boss who ran the Corleone crime family. I thought it was very interesting for Phaedra to go with a Don Corleone look, considering she does have a past of some questionable criminal choices. I'm not going to get into it because Mrs. Parks is a lawyer. So other people, I feel like I can mercilessly say things about their possible crimes and alleged frauds. But Phaedra, I do feel like will take legal action. But you can, go and find some of your own information about Phaedra. I do feel like I could see Phaedra getting to a point where she would send one of her lackeys to put a severed horse's head into somebody's bed to really send them a message. She had a little mustache happening. She, of course, had a gorgeous fur coat, a three-piece suit. She looked amazing, and I thought that was very clever. Very, very good idea. And I do like one comment that I saw on the post that said, "I thought you were dressing up as Dwight." Like her very like dandy best friend from Atlanta Housewives, who actually I met a million years ago. I was going through old photos and I saw like I had a photo with like me, Dwight, and this random guy from Project Runway whose name is escaping me. I don't know. I don't know where I've been. But also I do like Don Corleone was very much like quiet. He like never raised his voice. He just would like send messages through, violence and fear and whatever. And I kind of feel like Phaedra is going that route as well. If you're read by Phaedra Parks, you basically can't come back from that. And she never really was raising her voice. She always had like a very cool, calm composure when she's absolutely ripping you to shreds. We have to talk about Hailey Bieber and Justin Bieber's baby, Jack Blues, dressing up as a young Bieber. He was dressing up in the all-white outfit with a purple hoodie from Justin Bieber's One Less Lonely Girl video. It was an iconic look. And I just feel like this kid's already screwed. Like, let's not make Jack Blues be just like Daddy yet. Like, I really feel like let the kid be a pumpkin. Like, was that a thing? Like, for kids anymore? Or, I don't know, K-pop demon hunters? Like, there's so many things that Jack Blues could have been. But dressing up as his dad, I feel like we're going to get another documentary in 18 years where he's like, all they ever wanted was me to be a pop star like my dad. I'll never live up to being like my dad. It's just, when I saw that, I was like, oh god, this is not good. But Jack Blues, get out of there. Run. Okay, I did come across a lot of freaking people dressed up as the 6'7" thing. I know it's like some kid phrase that like the kids are saying now, but I don't know. Like parents out there, like you don't need to like lean so hard into your kid's dumb joke about a trend that like doesn't mean anything and is kind of like purposely said to confuse parents. Like, I don't know. I just think it's embarrassing. Even like the amount of parents I saw like in unicorn onesies. I'm like, why am I looking at a 42-year-old woman in a unicorn onesie drinking a high noon? The sun is out. What's happening? Like, it felt like a little bleak. I don't know. I'm like a fashion bitch, so I'm kind of like a little weird about Halloween costumes. I'm like, even if I am wearing a Halloween costume, like, I do kind of look good. Maybe that's the vanity in me, but also like I'm not like Heidi Klum. Heidi Klum's like, yes, put scales on me. Yes, I'll look like a swamp demon. And the next day I'm back to being a fucking model. Like I'm just like a regular person, so I don't need to go look like a swamp creature and then go back to just looking like a regular lady. Like it's just not as fun for me. I don't know. And I'm very vain, so I'm not wearing a onesie. I'm sorry. The family onesies, oh my god. You truly couldn't pay me. Okay, let's pivot away from Halloween. It's over. Thanksgiving is done. It's the holiday season. And during this holiday season, we should be giving back people. And Billie Eilish has recently come out saying she's going to be giving back $11.5 million to various food insecurity and climate justice work groups. And I gotta say, incredible use of 11.5 million. I guess she's donating all the proceeds from her Hit Me Hard and Soft tour. Which just tells me, like, I feel like she's not giving up all her money, but this is probably a portion of the proceeds. She must be making so much money. And the thing about Billie Eilish is that, she's a single person. It's not like the Red Hot Chili Peppers where there's 4 guys, so every dollar you make is divided by 4, plus your agent, your manager, you're this, you're that, the other. Billie Eilish is just racking it up. She's the only person on stage. Maybe she has a band behind her, whatever, but like a guitarist in Billie Eilish's live show isn't sniffing anything near of what, Billie Eilish is getting for writing the songs and creating the songs. So go off, girl. I'm very impressed by you. And this donation will be going to support organizations, projects, and voices dedicated to food equity, climate justice, reducing carbon pollution, and combating the climate crisis. And it's a quick 11.5 mil. We love to see it. We love seeing young alt pop stars doing more for Americans than the actual government. We love to see it. I'm not going to get too deep into it because I don't want to ostracize people. I'm trying to keep it light today. It's a Monday. Let me fucking live. I will say this was exposed at some big charity event full of fucking billionaires. Mark Zuckerberg and his wife Priscilla Chan were there. Hailey Bieber was there. George Lucas, Tory Burch, and supermodel Carly Close. Let's not forget she's married into a family of cajillionaires. And so she was quite literally speaking in front of a room full of billionaires who, maybe if they could take some of their billions and like give back to marginalized communities, that could be really helpful, but instead they're just like looking at it increase more and more and more year over year, and then they're also laughing when they look at their tax returns and realize we're paying less taxes this year than the last year and the year before that and the year before. It's so crazy. But I did like that she said this quote: "Love you all, but there are a few people in here that have a lot more money than me. If you're a billionaire, why are you a billionaire? No hate, but yeah, give your money away, shorties." I guess the room started clapping, except for Mark Zuckerberg, of course, because he said, "Don't call me short. Don't fucking call me short." But yeah, I did like the powerful message and then hitting them with the shorties. You gotta keep it Gen Z. You have to let everybody in the audience know I'm young and I'm able to donate 11.5 million without moving the needle on my net worth too much. I just thought that was pretty fucking badass of her because she's a young girl. And you know what? It's great when you realize, okay, I have $55 million in the bank. Maybe I can give away 11 million. Why not? If you can help people, why not? How many fucking luxury cars can you have? Jeff Bezos, how many foam parties can you have? Come on. When like a 20-something-year-old girl is having to look at a bunch of billionaires and hope and pray maybe they could have an inch of that same generosity. Yeah, right. Okay, we have to talk about the new article that went viral this week from British Vogue with the title, "Is Having a Boyfriend Embarrassing Now?" Yeah. So I guess British Vogue is basically saying that like the issue isn't having a boyfriend, it's the fact that like when sometimes people online, and they're looking at this from the lens of influencers and people who put themselves out on the internet, seemingly get this boyfriend and then they become boyfriendified. Their life is all about their boyfriend, their content is all about their boyfriend. And we see people online who are like stay-at-home girlfriends to these guys, and of course they like put these men in finance on a pedestal. I want to say I've met a lot of guys in finance. They are some of the worst personalities. They think because they work in finance that they're like impressive. Okay, like maybe I once went on a date with a guy in finance who was so gross, and like I remember like waking up next to him and like he had like pieces of his hair just on his pillow, like he was just like balding in rapid speed. And then we went out for brunch that day, and he told me he would never hire a gay person to work on his team because in finance they don't respect gay men. So I was like, this is amazing. I'm going to split the check with you and we're going to go. We're going to part ways and we're never going to speak again. But more so on this boyfriend's being embarrassing thing. So it's more about, having this man become your entire personality. And I think we see it online. Like all of a sudden, these influencer girlies, especially these New York City influencer girls, are talking about their boyfriends, putting them in their videos, making this guy who, is just like a regular boring dude be put into the cultural conversation. And even on like r/NYC influencer snark, which is like a great Reddit thread about, people in the city, and, it's all these transplants living in the city who are like, not going or doing anything interesting, but still it's fun snark. They'll talk about like the boyfriends of some of these girls, and it's like, this guy is just like an entry level marketing guy, and now his information is like blown out on a Reddit page. He didn't choose to put his life out there. And I guess when you start dating somebody who does put their life out there, you by default are saying, okay, yeah, I guess you can include me in, these videos, which then again opens up your relationship and your life to the world. The whole crux of this article is basically saying having boyfriends now are embarrassing, is like we kind of lead into a world where, men ain't shit, which like, of course we know this, but it's also like uncool to now be a girl who cares about their boyfriend. And I think we've all seen it with girlfriends in our lives. Like once you start dating a guy, you completely become obsessed with your boyfriend, you change all your personality traits, like everything becomes about him. And like we're seeing it online time and time again. All of a sudden a girl gets a boyfriend and it's like now she has this new unlocked perspective on life and everything is good. We see it with Serena Kerrigan. She's like one of these, influencer girls who was all about relationships, talked about relationships for years, and then gets in this relationship. And now it's like, she's preaching to the choir about like all the things she knows from like her very, serious year-long relationship. And I think it's like having your persona become a boyfriend girl is definitely embarrassing. And can we also just talk about how embarrassing the word fiance is? Like all of a sudden I'm just like speaking French. Like now I'm engaged and I speak French. It's just bizarre. I found that to be very uncomfortable as when I was engaged, because I was like, this is just like embarrassing. Like I don't know. It just felt like awkward to say, but I guess now, like, again, the crux of this article is all about like how, women don't want to seem obsessed with their boyfriend. And yet, there's still this kind of clout that they're chasing by having a guy who's committed to them. And again, I'm just using heterosexual pronouns because it's just easier that way. But I mean, it's interesting. I like don't really think this is true. I think like people should be able to choose however they want to be in life. If a woman wants to be single, then you should be able to have that freedom. And, you know, that choice is made out of a desire for freedom and not out of like being bitter that you can't find somebody. Like, I think that's pretty powerful and pretty amazing, but also, I think it's kind of sad that also people are saying like, oh, like it's uncool to like be partnered up and to like be in love. And I kind of find that a little sad too, because, God forbid you want to be with somebody and have a family and do these things. I know, again, like it's 2025 and you're supposed to just like be a, you know, independent woman, and you're not supposed to be this trad wife. Like, I mean, you don't have to be like a trad wife to enjoy cooking dinner. Like, and even like these trad wives that we see online, like Ballerina Farm, Nara, whatever, like these women are content creators. Like they have big jobs. They're making a lot of money. They're a performative version of what, a family is, what a household is. God knows Nara Smith or whatever her name is feeding her kids freaking Sour Patch Kids on Halloween like the rest of us. But like, to say that you like to cook dinner for your husband and you like spending time with your husband over like partying with your girlfriends, like I think that's a little sad if like society's saying, oh, that's so lame. Like, I guess, like, isn't that like what we've always kind of done, and oftentimes like, brings people joy? Like, I'm so sorry, like I'm so lame, but I don't know. Like, I feel like that's like the point of feminism. It's to be able to choose. If you want to choose to be a boyfriend girl where you change your life for this idiot guy, great. But if you also just choose to like have a boyfriend and be in love and you're happy, like, why is that such a bad thing? I think, women can't win, and we're going to get into many different stories right now about how, fourth wave feminism is a tricky little bitch, which actually leads us to this influencer girl, Hailey Hallie Batchelder. I can never pronounce this girl's name, but she has a podcast that's underneath the Unwell Network by Alex Cooper, Daddy Gang. And she's been recently talking about how she's like completely anti-condoms. She said the last 2 guys I've fucked have suggested using condoms. And I'm kind of offended by the condom epidemic. I don't know how I feel about it. I'm allergic. Who likes them? Then the little bitch doubles down, saying, I don't fuck with condoms, and they ruin the vibe. And if that's what you want to cancel me for, okay, cancel me in my career. I don't know what you want me to say. I'm not changing my mind on this one. I like how she's like, my podcast about getting drunk and talking about fucking guys, raw dogging guys, I should say. Do not cancel me or my career for this ridiculous claim. And also, like, again, we live in a very contentious world, and a woman's right to choose to do whatever she wants is her own right. You should be able to, get raw dogged, and you know what? Maybe STIs and unintended pregnancies like just don't matter to you. And then she says, oh, I've got an iron clad IUD that sperm can't break through. It's like, okay, that's amazing for you, but you're probably under 26. You're still on daddy's insurance. You realize like not everybody I don't know, has access to IUDs or access to, I don't know, birth control. Or, I mean, let's kind of get even further. It's also becoming harder and harder to get access to both birth control and abortions at a safe, place like Planned Parenthood. I don't know, like these fucking girls coming out here and saying these like not impressive thoughts. Like, I think everybody can kind of agree, yeah, having sex with a condom, kind of annoying. She's not wrong. It does ruin the vibe. But when you're a public person and you can speak to large swaths of young women and you're telling them that this hormone-free, affordable, and easy thing that can keep you safe is lame, like it's just a bad look. And again, I like everything in jest. I'm down for a joke, but her doubling down and not even being able to say like, oh, I don't know, maybe like maybe I kind of have it good where I can have, free birth control without even freaking blinking an eye and thinking about it. It's just fucking pisses me off. I don't know. This little bitch pissed me off. And I've actually listened to her podcast before because I stay in the know. I like to stay abreast of what's going on in the world. And, she's just like a young girl talking about getting dick down and having fun. And like, that's great and all, but it's also a little bit of TMI. And I, again, as somebody who like used to podcast and talk about crazy shit, I probably wish at a point in my life someone would have said, maybe we don't say that. Like, maybe we don't go that route. But instead, I just was yapping till the fucking cows come home, and I just didn't give a fuck. But that's besides the point. Ladies, let's use condoms, please. If you don't know where these dirty dicks are coming from, unfortunately, trust no man. You can only provide health and safety for yourself at this fucking rate. Okay, let's end today's show with a little bit of Bravo news. I liked this whole like gay Halloween thing that I kept seeing. I saw this one guy, I'll tag him on Instagram, where he was dressing up as Kelly Ben-Simone, and then his friend was the taxi behind him, and they were just running in the streets of Manhattan, which was absolutely iconic for any kind of OG Roni fan. Classic, perfection, loved it. Andy Cohen was on Call Her Daddy. What's up, Daddy Gang? I can't not say that when I hear her speaking, but I thought she actually ran the interview really well, and he is just like such a professional. He's funny, he's open, he's smart, he's self-aware. I just love Andy so much, and he didn't really say anything that interesting to really report on, but he did say that if he had say, he would absolutely put out the season of Ultimate Girls Trip that included the Brandi Glanville and Caroline Manzo blow up in Morocco. So, I mean, let's just air it. If Andy's saying, yes, let's do it, let's do it. And he makes it very clear. He's like, so many people think I'm like the one who makes every single decision at Bravo. He's like, that's very much not the case. I'm a loud voice at Bravo, but I'm not the only one who's able to make serious decisions for the network. There's a team of producers and programming people and advertisers, everything, who have a large say as well. So, yeah, he didn't really say anything too shocking, but I will say this week I fell for an AI image of Raquel Leviss from Vanderpump Rules getting married to her boyfriend. The article was captioned, former VPR cast member Rachel Leviss surprised fans when she officially married boyfriend Jason Boucher in a country-themed wedding in Arizona. And I'm sorry, but this image was so realistic. For like 2 days, I was like so excited for her, looking for the registry, looking for the wedding website to get some additional details, and there was nothing. And then I go to her social media, and it's just a sea of sound baths. And again, good for her. I'm happy she's enjoying the beautiful sounds of glass bowls. I don't know what kind of material the bowls are made out of, but I'm sorry, but like I'm falling for AI and it's getting scary. And I have to say, even Pinterest is basically like all AI at this point. I go to Pinterest for like decor help and like outfits sometimes. And now every time I'm looking at like outfits or home decor, I'm like, why is this fake? Like, why can I tell that this is not a real living room? It's just really sad. And it's becoming so impressive that, even the most jaded of fans, myself, believed that Rachel got married at a country themed wedding in Arizona. Maybe soon enough. Again, she's already been engaged, so, she's moving quickly with these idiot guys, but who knows? So, in dating news, Southern Charms Shep Rose was spotted on a date in NYC with CNN's Caitlin Collins. And you know what? I'm very happy for him because he needs a woman with a brain. I'm sorry. She's also age appropriate. She's 33, so she's not 24. Shep was always like dating these young girls, and he's like, it's so weird. We have nothing to talk about. It's like, yeah, you're 22 years older than them. You could literally be their dad. Like, maybe you need to find someone with a brain who can have conversations with you. And she's also from Alabama, so she's a Southern Belle. A Southern Belle with a job? We do not see that often on Southern Charm. So I thought that was very promising. And if you know me, I always stand for Chef Rose. I'm sorry. He's, had some questionable choices in the past, but I like him. And actually, this was not even in my outline, but I did come across a caption of a AI photo, again, back to AI, of Craig, Whitney, Austin, and Shep as the four men in the Beatles. And the caption was, "This was simply too funny and brilliant, not to hard post." I like a hard post. He said, "I know Whitney Sudler will especially love this. We talk about our reverence for the Beatles with great vigor. I'm positive Curl the Warrior King feels similarly, considering his classic rock roots. Now Craig Conover, I'm not 100% sure. His musical tastes are a bit different modern. You should see us with the aux cord. It's a battle." Honestly, I love that. It's giving boomer dad vibes on Facebook. And again, thankfully he's dating a woman who is 33, so she did probably have a Facebook in high school, unlike, Taylor, who's like, Facebook, I've never even heard of that. What the fuck? So they are filming in the city the new Summer House spinoff. And Lindsay Hubbard was spotted shooting this past week, and Danielle Oliveira was also spotted shooting with her. And thank God, because we were going to have to do a wellness check. I'm very glad to see Danielle's in the mix. I do feel like she probably hates Lindsay so much, but she knows that Lindsay's always looking for a friend to film with, and she will always be there for her. I feel deep hatred between the two of them, but I feel like they know they could just be work allies in this new spinoff. And I feel like Danielle very much had that if you can't beat him, join him mindset. She's like, whatever. I had my whole season where I completely crashed out on Lindsay and Carl for good reason. She completely called everything that was about to happen, but you know it was a bit of a crash out that didn't really sit well with fans. Fans weren't thrilled about it. So I'm excited to see them back on screen, and I'm excited to get more information about what's going on with the show. We don't even know who's confirmed to be on it, so I guess we're just going to have to kind of be patient, which I don't like being patient. I don't want to be patient. But speaking of being patient, I do think we're going to get a Real Housewives of New York update at BravoCon, which I think is in like 2 weeks. And yeah, I'm not going to that. I don't have the money for that. And honestly, like, again, yeah, I just can't like justify spending that money. Again, I'm like kind of on a fixed budget right now, but like if I was going to spend like ultimately like $3,000-4,000 to get there, stay there, eat there, the tickets for the events, the booze, the food, like everything. And then I shop, so like I'm gonna have to like go shopping. That's $5,000 right there. I'd rather like take that money and go to fucking Vienna. Like I don't know. I'd rather go to Turks and Caicos. No shade to all the Bravo celebrities who will be there. Would love to see a panel of these fucking morons talking about whatever nonsense they're going to be talking about, but I will not be there. But I think at BravoCon they're going to be announcing some new shows, and I'm hoping they properly tease the Real Housewives of Rhode Island. I feel like it's a really good time to get some buzz going about maybe the pilot episode, if they can even air that. That would be fucking iconic. But Erin Leachy from the Roni reboot was hosting a party for her book. And I'm sorry, her book's all about hosting. And I gotta say, one of the worst hosts. And it's always bad when the author of the book is like, oh, and the book is also really pretty, so it could look great on your coffee table. That tells me everything I need to know. There's no substance in this book, and it's just a bunch of pretty pictures, which that's great. Maybe someone will want that, but not me. But I will say, Erin was at the party. Sai Silva was there. Jenna Lyons, and Lisa Barlow also made an appearance. Lindsay Hubbard was there. And then Amanda Hirsch from the Not Skinny But Not Fat podcast was there, as was Serena Kerrigan. And so I know Serena's talked a bunch, and I was actually just talking about her earlier in this show, that she had been approached by people for Summer House. So it should be interesting to see if possibly she's being tapped as a newbie for the new Roni reboot. I mean, it would make sense to have the Not Skinny But Not Fat girl on the show. Also, like, girl, rebrand. What are you doing with that stupid name for your show? Like, maybe when you're 22, it, like, you know, the self-deprecating, you know, body insecurity thing was like cute and chic, but like now you're a mom of two and like, I don't know, you're objectively skinny, so like let's just rebrand with like something with your name in it. I don't know. She's like getting the Kardashians on her show. Like, nobody is associating you so much with like being not skinny or not fat. Now it's like more of your name that's your brand. So I think it's time to pivot. I'm going to give her that note. I'll let her know. But we'll see if they have anything to do with the new season of Roni. I'm waiting with bated breath, as you all know. We have to kind of talk a little bit about Real Housewives of New Jersey before we wrap things up today. I have a busy day, you guys. I start my part-time job today, which is why I'm kind of racing through this and my head's like a little bit all over the place because I'm an associate producer for a local podcast. And you heard it here first. I have made my side hustle into a real hustle, and it's really impressive. And I'm just incredibly talented and skilled. But no, I'm really excited. So I have to like jet there right after this. So that's why I'm like a little all over the place. But by the end of, you know, my first day, I will be back to normal and back to being a scathing psychopath. But we have to talk about the news of what's going on in New Jersey. Again, New Jersey resident, voting Mikey Sherrill, even though she's a boring ass bitch, but that's besides the point. But Jenna Aiden came out with a statement saying, basically giving us an update. This is a multiple screenshot update saying, hey guys, just want to hop on here and give you guys an update on a few things. A lot of you have been asking me if I'm still on the show. I can honestly say that nobody has told me anything, and they still haven't told me anything. But I haven't checked either. Life's been pretty busy. She does have like 20 kids, so it probably is kind of busy. And I only think about it when people ask me, which is why I would have liked to have known so I can let you guys know. If you know me, I like to keep it real. And all the things I've heard is what you've heard. You probably know more than me, actually. I've heard they're test filming, and I wasn't invited to BravoCon, so by the looks of it, I have to say it's probably not good. And that's okay. I'm good. Maybe that's how they fire people these days, by just moving on and without telling them. Maybe it's awkward for them. I don't know. But if they did tell me, I would have said, thanks for letting me know, and thanks so much for the journey. Wish you guys the best, and I mean that. I'll always be grateful for my time on the show. It was quite the experience, to say the least. She definitely like put this into ChatGPT and was like, can you make this really confusing, but also make it sound like I'm like not bitter at all? So it's time to keep moving. And I got a podcast. It's called TV Gold. And it's not about the housewives, LOL. Of course, I'll touch on it at times. It was such a big part of my life. But the podcast is going to be more about pop culture, entertainment, fashion, health, wellness, and beauty. All with the flair, funny, handled by yours truly, Jen Aiden. Wait, that's like kind of what my show's about. Wait. We should collab. I could drive up to her mansion. It's literally 25 minutes away. So it says out with the old and onto the gold with me, Jennifer Aiden. Message of the day. Don't live in the past, learn from it, and move forward. I love that. It's a beautiful message. And honestly, like, Jen Aiden is like, why the fuck did I lose my career over a crash out at Jersey Mike's? Like, that is such a fall from grace. And I like how she's like, I don't know, maybe they've told you, maybe they've said something to you, maybe they haven't, maybe you're done. You're done and they don't owe you anything. You probably are signed on as a contractual basis. I will say it is like kind of rude for a production company to like just say nothing, but it seems like the show's like completely confusing everybody. So I mean, there has to be conversations. Like, you know, Danielle spoke about it, Melissa's talked about it, I've heard Teresa talk about it, and now word is that Kathy Wakili's possibly coming back to Jersey Housewives, and I think it's gonna like not work out in Teresa's favor if she thinks like Kathy's going to be back on her side. But one thing I did love about Kathy and Teresa fighting was that their fights went back like generations. Like it went back to the old country where, Joe and Melissa were just fighting with Teresa about like their existence as a couple. Like that gets boring season after season. Oh, she's a stripper. Oh, she doesn't love you. Oh, she's here for your money. Like Kathy Wakili was like bringing up things that Teresa's dad did in the 70s. Like that is juicy drama that, can carry a show for seasons. And I mean, if Kathy comes back, that's great. I mean, she has a beautiful new mansion she's building. She's about to become a grandma. Mazel tov to Victoria and her husband. Her son is really hot. So she's got a lot of things going for her. I do believe she's, slinging pizzas at a local pizza spot here in Jersey. So maybe I'll take a little trip over there. But Jen Aiden, not looking good for you. And you have like 12 kids. Like, just be a parent. Like, your time is done. You know what? Jersey Mike's ruined her career and it's ruining my cholesterol. So we've all been burned by Jersey Mike's. All right, everybody, that brings us to the end of today's episode. I know it was a short and sweet one. I got a lot on my mind, people. I'm starting a new job in 27 minutes. So I got to get my shit together, but be sure to tune in to part 2 of my Anna Delvey deep dive that will be out this Friday. Tune into, of course, part 1 if you haven't heard that. And if you're not interested in the story at all, go and listen to part 1. It's really crazy. It's really juicy. And it's just like a funny, interesting story about this like idiot, fake German heiress scammer. It's just fucking awesome. It's everything I'm obsessed with and more. I'm knee deep into Selling Sense in season 9. There is a fight during episode 2 that had my jaw on the ground. So good. So I'm going to be binging that for the rest of the day. I'm going to be posting an episode on this Wednesday for my Love is Blind. I also think season 9 recap. Bland ass season, but you know me. I'll still find a way to talk about it for upwards of 2 hours. So thank you so much for listening to I Know You Didn't Ask. Again, I appreciate you listening. And if you have a minute, go and subscribe, leave a comment. As I was looking at my recent comments on Apple Podcasts for the review section, it was just comments that I've actually wrote from people's phones. So if you have a minute, go and, write something nice. And it's super, super helpful to get new people to listen to the show, as well as, getting my show back on the charts, which is like kind of the goal for 2025. That's the micro goal. There's macro goals. But we'll get there in 2026, people. Let's not get crazy. Let's not get too ahead of ourselves. So thank you so much for listening and have a great rest of your week. Bye. New episodes of the I Know You Didn't Ask podcast are out every Monday and Friday, available wherever you listen to podcasts and on YouTube.